Happy Friday, everyone. I am in sunny Arizona today. Yes.
I am studying all day, working on a huge project that's due. Yay.
We were just talking about this on our walk because we like to go on walks when we're together. I was telling her that Nick was joking this morning. He's like, are you excited to go see your girlfriend? And I'm like, listen, just because I have a really cool bestie and you don't right now, don't be jealous. Just kidding. Nick has like way more friends than I do. And he's just... they're on like group texts all the time. I'm like, God, you're such a female. But yeah, it's nice to hang out with Liz.
Yes. And work together with somebody that you really like. We talked about that on Monday. And that's one thing that we didn't share is like, I don't know that I would be doing this job.
No, wouldn't have made it this long. Would not have made it this long.
Without our team too.
Yes.
Obviously Jen and Courtney are great, but yes, Becca and I, I was watching a TikTok earlier because we are working on our TikTok channel. We actually just got done filming some. Leave it to me to mess it up every time. But I was watching a video earlier and it was these two business partners and they were talking about how they're best friends and they're like, but we never hug each other. And they were like trying to awkwardly like hug each other. And I was like, I feel like that's Becca and I perfectly.
Yes.
Because I'm a hugger, but Becca's definitely not a hugger.
Yeah, not as much. I mean, like yeah. And it's funny because I think of different levels. Like I remember at OCF at the gym that I used to be at, Susie is like very introverted and awkward. And I would always be the hugger. And she would be like she would like try to make herself really small. She's like 4'11", so she's already really small. But it's one of those things where people like get really uncomfortable and coil up when you go to hug them. They get really stiff.
I feel like this is awkward. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Funny. But anyways, we are here today and we are talking about the internal transformation because a lot of y'all think that it's all about the scale. Oh, there was the y'all. I'm ready for Tennessee. But
listen, when I came back from Memphis after being at school for 4 years, it was like you fixing to go to the store and y'all, and I developed a Southern accent being there for 4 years.
Well, my family tells me that I have a Chicago accent. I'm like, I don't hear it.
Chicago isn't an accent. Chicago's just people speak normally.
Well, compared to down south in Springfield, they're definitely more country there. So apparently there's a tang to Chicago.
Oh, I could see that. Well, you know, wherever you grow up is like how you think people speak normally. I think everyone else has accents. Yeah.
And it's funny because anytime we go back to Springfield, it's like driving through the cornfields for 80% of the drive.
Yes. In the middle of nowhere. But I feel like we live in the middle of nowhere compared to where we used to live.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely like, we're out there. When I go and pick our kids up from Nick's parents, like single lane roads, which are the worst because you get caught behind people that are driving like 10 miles under the speed limit. And you're like, I can't go around you. And I have so much farther to go.
Yes. But there's some really pretty houses on the way to your house.
There are. There's a lot of really nice areas out there. So we're definitely loving our new home. I think the best part, and I just need it to be warm again, there's like 7 parks within walking distance in our subdivision, which I'm obsessed with and is so great for Carson. And like, you know, definitely ready for it to be warm again so we can take advantage.
Yes. I'm jealous. I mean, we have 2.
Yeah.
Within walking distance. And there's a lot of other parks around. We just don't really go there.
Yeah.
Because
it's pretty great. They're all colored park, you know, the green park, blue park, purple park. I don't know why the purple park is the purple. I don't know. There's just
remember
pink park.
Remember that time that we went to the park for our photo shoot and you got hit on?
Yes. By like some like 16-year-old boy. Can I have your Instagram handle? I was like, what? I'm here with my kid. Like, what?
So crazy. Anyways, so we are talking about the internal change that happens. And as I was saying before we went on this tangent, many people focus on the external transformation and, you know, how much they've changed physically. Today, we're going to talk about when true growth happens. And for us, we truly believe that this happens internally more than it happens externally, or at least in the beginning. It's going to, you know, it needs to happen internally for you to have that long-term sustainable external transformation.
Yeah. I don't want this to sound bad, but I feel like I need to say it. When we are on sales calls or when we're on calls with potential clients, I feel like I have a 90% accuracy of knowing just by talking to someone for about 20 to 30 minutes, whether they're going to make a change or not, whether they are in the right mindset and the right state of being tired enough of their own shit, of basically being like, you know what, It's my only option. I can't take it anymore. I can't live like this anymore. I've reached the breaking point and I'm ready to change. I'm like, all right, you're going to be successful. But then there's a lot of people that are like, well, I think I eat pretty well and I try to exercise. And it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself that you're doing enough, but you're not seeing results from it. And so you think that by, hiring a coach, buying a program, buying a meal plan, whatever it is going to be like your answer. It's going to be like the missing piece. But in reality, you still believe that you aren't the problem. That sounds bad, but it's the truth. Like, it is when people realize and accept that they are holding themselves back and that they are the reason that they are where they are and they're ready to make a change, those are the people that end up seeing the best results. It is like, and I was talking to one of our old clients and she's awesome. We were working with her for about 6 months, and throughout the 7 months, she was struggling. She was making up a lot of reasons why she couldn't do things. It was a lot of internal mindset work that we were trying to make. And on our last call, I discussed with her, I know that this is, something that we haven't made a lot of progress around, but when you are ready, listen to this podcast, listen to, I mentioned 75 Hard to her, and I was like, I think it's a little bit of an extreme program, but look at it and think about the concept of it. And she started it and she hasn't looked back. And when we were working together, she wasn't ready. And she actually messaged me a couple of weeks ago and she was like, thank you so much for giving me that information because I wasn't ready when I was working with you. And she's like, and that was my fault. I wasn't ready to make the change. And then I finally hit the rock bottom and I've turned my life around. And I think, it's hard because like, we aren't going to force a client to change. I can't be with you every second of every day, holding your hand, telling you to put the cookie down, telling you to go to bed earlier so you can wake up earlier and fit the workout in. Like, we can't be there doing that. And so if you aren't ready to make that change, simple as it is, you're not going to make it. It is what it is.
Yeah. You might start something and you might, follow through with it for 5 or 10 days, but to make a true internal change, you have to be tired of your own shit and you have to accept responsibility, and this is something that no one can convince you to do. This all happens internally for you. You look in the mirror one day and you say, Liz, I'm tired of living this way. I'm not meant to live this way. Right. And you're the only person that can do that. You can listen to motivation podcasts. You can, look at before and afters. You can hear testimonials of people getting amazing results and you can be excited and, oh, maybe that's the thing for me. But truly, it doesn't matter if you are not ready to accept responsibility and start making massive shifts in your life, because that is really what change is. It's massive shifts. Yes, we can talk about one habit at a time, right? We can take the concept of habit stacking and we can do all of those things. And for some people that works. For other people, like our previous client, she had to hit rock bottom. And she had to accept her responsibility. And we're so proud of her.
I'm so excited for her. She's on day 68 of 75 Hard. She's crushing it. And I don't care that she's not working with us while she's getting success. I care that she's getting success finally. I care that she finally hit that place where she was ready to change. And she told me, she's like, it was all me. It was all the mental work that I wasn't willing to put in. I wasn't willing to face my own demons at the time. And then I got to a place where I finally couldn't take it anymore and I had to. Yeah. And she turned it around. And like, I'm so excited for her. I'm so happy for her. And so at the end of the day, guys, what we need to realize is that it doesn't mean that like give up now if you aren't feeling like it is the time. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what Liz and I are trying to get across here. I think that you need to accept though, that if you continue to not do the things that you're trying to do, they probably aren't as much of a priority to you as you think they are, or you maybe want them to be. And I think that there is one kind of exception here too, where people get a jump start and then they start to feel the effects of positive change and that fuels them harder. And I think that's the other thing is like, maybe you aren't at rock bottom, but you're able to start implementing some positive habits. And then you start to feel how much better you can feel than without those things. And that propels you to then continue to do more. I think that's the other example. It's like, one, hit complete rock bottom, you totally turn your life around. And two, usually like the more gradual approach, which is what we try with all of our clients. Like, we don't like extreme approaches. We don't like having to make extreme choices. The other thing though, is when you can implement like, let's make it the next 7 to 10 days, getting up, getting rid of some of these foods that are causing inflammation, getting more sleep, getting movement in every day, drinking enough water. They do those things because they can think, I can do this for the next 7 days. And then they start to feel better. And then they're able to kind of snowball that effect and use how they feel as the driving force behind their choice of change. These are kind of the two scenarios. One, you're sick of your bullshit and you will not take it anymore, and you are willing to do whatever it takes. And I'll be honest, like, I love working with those clients because I'm like, you're going to do whatever we ask, and we know that you're going to do it. I can trust that you're going to do it because you can sense with those clients. You can sense with them. And some people just aren't in that place, and that's okay. I don't want people to hit rock bottom. Like, it sucks to hit rock bottom. The other population are people that we can implement those things and think short term, get to the next day, get to the next moment, get to the next choice. And that's another way that, believe it or not, like, works really well with people that are suffering from addiction or like alcoholism or stuff like that. They focus on the next hour. Get through the next hour. And then you get through that hour. Okay, get through the next 2 hours. You get through the next 2 hours. Get through the next day. And then you wake up and it's been a month. And you've been able, and so, like, we're not saying this is the only group of population that makes change. There's people that hit rock bottom. But at the end of the day, like Liz was saying, you have to be willing to take responsibility. Because if you aren't, you will not. You will not make the commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like Mel Robbins says, no one's coming to save you. And gosh, I wish that I would have seen her when I was in college, because I would have done things differently back then. But no one is coming to save you. You have to want it yourself to save yourself enough, because again, you can search for motivation, right? And you can hope that someone is going to come and ask you to do this challenge with them, or want to come to the gym with you, or that your husband's going to get on board with not going out to eat and ordering, pizza and wings every weekend. Most of the time, in our experience, it takes a lot of effort and change on her part before he follows along, or tough conversations, asking for support, asking, for them to shift some of their routines and habits to support her to be able to get up and go to the gym, or, take the kids, for a few hours so that she can go and do the things that she needs to do. And so it's challenging, especially when your environment isn't super supportive, or, you are trying to make massive changes and everybody else in your life is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? This is making me uncomfortable now, and it's already hard for you because you're in a place where you're not super happy, and that these are the right things to do, but yet you have all of these other temptations, right? And all of these other roadblocks that you have to start to overcome. And this is where the true internal change happens. One of our other clients, she's in a really busy time right now with work. She's committed to the next 30 days to do specific tasks that Becca discussed with her. And she's showing up and she's doing those things. And she's finding a couple weeks in, she feels a little bit resentful to some other people around her who she sees not working hard. And I was sharing something with her the other day. I said, don't let them get to you, because you can use that resentment to fuel your fire, or you can use the resentment to put the fire out. Fuel your fire. Take this and be freaking proud of what you were doing. Lay your head on that pillow every night knowing that I did the things today. I showed up for myself. No matter what everybody else around me was doing, I kept my blinders on and I kept going. And find people too to support you and to hold you accountable to these things. Help you identify what is actually holding you back. That's a big part of the first month with our clients, is evaluating habits, routines, how many things that we maybe have in our life that we didn't realize. Bad habits for, most people, right? How many times that we go for the bites, the licks, the taste, how many times we go out to eat. We've talked about this 100 times, we don't have to say it again. But sometimes you rationalize these things more than you think that you do. And so you need to be, your eyes need to be opened to understand these are big dominoes that are holding me back. And for some people, it's simple things, such as inflammatory foods, that we can remove those things and like, oh my gosh, I feel 10 times better without the dairy or without the gluten, or, whatever it is that we're seeing that's causing them to have digestive issues that linger into poor sleep, that, linger into mood issues and fatigue and brain fog and all of these things. And so sometimes you just have to be willing to accept the feedback too from people that you are, working with, or that you ask for help. And sometimes you take it in and you soak it in and you evaluate it for a few days. But then you've also got to be ready to drive forward, keep putting fuel in the fire every single day and keep that fire burning, because most people, when they get to that place where they've realized there's a lot more changes than I initially thought, or to get this weight off or to reverse these things, I'm going to have to do a lot more internal work than I thought. And they get uncomfortable and they quit and they put the fire out.
Gosh, it's so true. Because I think a lot of people come to us and a lot of people go to like a nutritional coach, a health coach, thinking all they need to do is like shift their calories around a little bit and they'll be golden. And it's like, no, you guys, this is an onion full of lots of layers that need to be peeled back. Because when, you change your calories and you realize this is hard and this is not how I thought I was eating, or temptation's a lot more common than I thought it was, or, I don't plan as well as I thought I did, or motivation isn't there like it was the first few days. Like, you start to realize what your true habits are. And at the end of the day, guys, like, as hard as this truth pill is to swallow, you didn't get to where you are doing everything right. It's just the reality of it. Like, you got there probably by mindlessly eating, not getting enough sleep, not being consistent with exercise, whatever these habits are. You got there by talking yourself out of doing the hard things. And so often we see people willing to suffer in a comfort zone versus suffer to get out of it. And they just stay there because it's easy. Because ordering the food in, because not waking up to work out, those are the easy things. And as humans, we take the least resistant route. It's just human nature. It's what we do. And so at the end of the day, you have to realize, like, it might not be as big of a priority. You guys, there's so much free information out there. And don't say that money's the problem. Like, money's not the problem. Everything that you need is probably on Google somewhere. There's tons of information about nutrition, tons of free workouts on there, everything about exercise, literally everything you would probably need is free on Google. But to be totally honest, we worked with plenty of people that say that they want to change, but their priorities show otherwise. And if you really want to find out what's important to you, evaluate your day. Liz and I have talked about this lots of times. Get a pen and paper, write down what you spend your time doing during your day. Talk about to yourself, what are you doing? You're probably wasting time doing things that don't need to be done, scrolling social media, Netflix at night, whatever it is. You have to evaluate what you spend your time doing. You have to evaluate your triggers. You have to evaluate, the late night mindless eating that you may not realize you're doing. I would say even track your food, because a lot of people think that they don't eat that bad. You aren't where you are because you aren't eating that bad. I'll say it 1,000 times. You guys, I'm going to cut right now. And Liz and I were talking about this. I was like, I log my food and I hit my 1,750, 1,800 calories in my cut. And then I realize, oh, wow, wait, I had a bite of that earlier and I had half of a graham cracker after work. And I'm like, well, now I'm out of my calorie deficit. Easy as that. And so we don't realize how much those little things add up. Mm-hmm. It's just...
And I would challenge you to evaluate your weekends, because I think weekends is where people rationalize the most. Mm-hmm. It's okay for you to skip lunch during the week, or, order in a couple nights. You don't realize how those things add up, right? You're rationalizing eating like an asshole, I'm just going to say how it is, on the weekends by skipping lunch or, ordering a salad during the week. Those things aren't going to do much for you. Mm-mm. So evaluate your weekends. What are you doing? How many meals are you skipping? How many times are you reaching for the bottle of wine or having another beer or picking off your kid's plate with French fries and pizza and cheese curds and all of these? Listen, they're delicious foods, right? There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, do they serve your goals to want to be a healthier individual and potentially lose weight and tone up? Mm-hmm. No, they don't. Unless you are eating 80 to 90% of your foods from one ingredient, whole foods, eliminating the labels, you're probably not doing as good as you think that you are. Mm-hmm. Just going to say it, that is the honest truth. And a lot of people think, well, I eat pretty clean. I eat pretty well. And then you evaluate how many of the things in your food log have a label on them. How many of them are coming in a package? How many of them have been ultra processed, right? When we look at grains and refined carbohydrates, ultra processed, like it's bread. Well, what's the difference between a carb from bread and a potato? Well, your bread's been processed.
Mm-hmm. And I think I remember vividly one of our clients was like, I eat really healthy. I eat protein and vegetables. We evaluated her food. After a week, I was like, we are not eating protein and vegetables. We have about 50 grams of protein a day. And 80% of our food's processed. And so like, you guys, sometimes we're truly just unaware. We may not even be in denial. We're just unaware because we don't track it. We don't evaluate it. We don't evaluate how we're feeling based off of foods. And so the last thing that I kind of want to discuss here is if you're like, this is too much for me, that's too extreme, I want balance in my life, I want these things, you just might not be ready. And that's okay. But I think the problem is that people fight with themselves. They're like, I want these things. I want to lose weight. I want to be toned. I want to be, healthier. I want to work out every morning. But I want the wine, and I don't want to give up date night, and I don't want to give up chocolate. Okay, well, what we say we want and what we actually want don't align. And so then you are left frustrated constantly. Instead, be at peace with it. Like, maybe this isn't a season of life where that's for you, where you're going to grind and you're going to make the sacrifices and you're going to do those things. Maybe you're just not ready for that. And that's okay. I think too many people beat themselves up about it, and then they live miserable because they're acting one way and they're saying that they want something else, but they obviously don't want something else because they're not implementing any change for it. And so like, I'm not judging you. Do you? That's like, as long as you're happy. And I will say, like, I wish that more people would be healthier, but to each their own. Because I think unfortunately today's world makes it way too easy to be unhealthy with the food that is available and very easy to get. And it's very addicting. But if you're happy, be happy. Don't think that you have to look a certain way. Don't think that you have to do certain things to like, be happy with where you are. But if you truly aren't happy, then you need to start facing it. Because I think too often we say that we want the balance. We say that we want to go out to eat and enjoy the wine and enjoy the date night and have chocolate every night and, be able to enjoy the ice cream every weekend with our kids. And that's fine, guys. But like, if you're waking up every morning and you're looking in the mirror and you're unhappy, and then you're trying to hide behind the justifications of balance and enjoyment in life, but you're not happy, then you need to face your choices. You need to evaluate, what am I doing that's not making me happy? And I would bet money on it. It is because you are not showing up for yourself.
And you're not showing yourself that you can be stronger than the food, the drinks, the emotions. You're not controlling your emotions, right? And so that's where we look at, okay, what is driving our response? Is it that we're stressed? Is it that we're unhappy? Are we trying to suppress? 80% of people who are consuming a lot of alcohol or drugs or binge eating, there's an underlying factor there that we need to get to the root cause of what is.
You're trying to numb it.
What are you trying to suppress? Exactly. And at the end of the day, that is one of the hardest parts of the journey. But if you can look in the mirror and you can really ask yourself some hard questions and be vulnerable with yourself. I've talked about this before. Like, I had to be vulnerable with myself and realize I was trying to suppress the passing of my mom. The 3 months after she passed, you guys, I drank wine every single night. I wasn't drunk, but I drank wine every single night. Guess what? Wasn't going great. I was waking up feeling bloated. I was more groggy. I was tired. I didn't want to go to the gym. I went to the gym. I moved through it. They weren't great workouts because I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't strong, right? Because even a couple of glasses of wine, like that impacts your sleep. You don't recover well and all of these things. And so I had to take that really hard look in the mirror and say, this isn't what I'm meant for. And this has got to change. I can't keep suppressing the sadness and the grief and the resentment and the anger to her passing with wine and going out on the weekends and distracting myself. I had to really start to deal with the grief and the pain. And that would be a message to you all today is don't feel bad and don't feel guilty for these things because you simply don't know what you don't know. Number one. And number two, you may have not had anybody help you through these things and ask you the hard questions, ask you the challenging, emotional questions that many people don't ask because it's one thing, like Becca said, to manipulate your calories, but it's a whole different ball field to take care of the shit that's holding you back emotionally and mentally and really start to internally change your life and transform not just your body, but totally make a transformation to the person that you are meant to be and become that person that is proud of how you live, of how you eat, of proud of your ability to say no in the face of the most temptations that I can walk by the chocolate chip cookies today. I can walk by the bottle of wine, right? And you can get to that place where you can have the balance. Becca and I have talked about this before. Like, We want our clients to get to a place where you can go out with your kids and you can go with your girlfriends and you can have a glass of wine or two, or maybe the scoop of ice cream, whatever your vice is, without then derailing into last chance syndrome again of, I've been so good, I deserve these things, I'm gonna eat all of the things that I like because I already had one scoop of ice cream, so I might as well continue it the rest of the weekend before I start over on Monday getting back to the restriction. We don't want that for people. But if you truly want to change, you have to go through this period where you do the hard things and you say no, and you work on the internal pieces, and you show yourself face each time that, you want to hit the drive-through as a challenge and overcome that obstacle, overcome that challenge. And eventually you're going to wake up a totally different person.
Yep.
You're going to be totally different on the inside. You are going to think differently. You are going to think differently about other people. You are going to want to share with people how great that you feel. You're going to want to share with people what it is like to do the hard things and the confidence that you're building in that. They're going to see it in you, in your eyes, in your happiness, in your mood. The internal transformation, if I had to do it all over again, the physical results are great. Like losing 50 pounds, yes, I feel much better, than I did at 200 pounds. That's all great from a physical aspect, but the most impactful thing in my life has been the internal transformation.
Yeah. And I would challenge you to evaluate who you want to be regardless of anyone else. I'm not saying like ignore your husband, your friends, your family, but like truly, if none of that played up an influence, who do you want to be? I've been battling this recently because I've stopped drinking for the most part, because I wish I could. I love margaritas. I love wine. I just I don't know if I'm allergic to alcohol, but I'm starting to have really bad reactions to it, like immediately. And a part of me feels bad. Like I feel guilty that I can't enjoy a glass of wine with my husband or two, or, go out and have fun. Like we're going to a wedding next weekend and I'm nervous about it. But then I have to evaluate that's just because of everyone else. It's because of the social pressure of drinking at weddings. It's because the social pressure of having drinks to have fun. If it was just left up to me, I probably wouldn't drink ever. I don't feel good when I drink. I don't wake up feeling good when I drink. And the reason that I feel I should do differently isn't because of me. It's because of everyone around me. And so evaluate for yourself. Do it for yourself, not for anyone else. Truly evaluate, what do I want? What do I want to feel? How do I want to be? What characteristics do I want to contain as a person? And evaluate it without any other influence. If it was just you, your thoughts, your desires, your needs, your wants, what would that look like? And then try to start acting on it.
Yep. All right. So with that said, we also want to just share with you that we are going to be doing a webinar this upcoming Thursday, and we are actually going to be touching on a lot of this, the mental and emotional pieces, and we're going to be talking about weight loss as you age, because many women come to us in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're like, so much harder these days than it was, way back when I first dieted or when I was younger, and it's got to be my metabolism. So we're going to be talking about metabolism, female metabolism, weight loss as you age, and then also covering some of the pieces to the puzzle in terms of mindset, emotional relationships, how we respond to triggers, because we know that's so valuable and so important for people, because that is the key. Honestly, the mental and emotional stuff, unlocking or locking that baggage up, I should say, that's the key to making a long-term sustainable transformation. So you can click the link in the show notes. There's going to be a link there to register for the webinar. This is a private webinar with Becca and myself, 7 p.m. Central Time this Thursday evening, February 17th. And we hope
next Thursday.
Next Thursday. We hope to see you there.